Hello, my name is Adrienne, and I empower moms to provide a stable, healthy environment for their children by supporting them through homeschooling and sharing ways to live toxin-free. This video is going to be specifically about the digestive system, and it is full of information, so let's get started. First, I wanted to start off with a quote that I found and loved, and it says, "Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food," by a famous philosopher. So the digestive system, I don't know if I can fit this whole picture in the frame here, but your digestive system looks something like this on the inside, right? Lots of parts working together to break down your food. The main purpose of the digestive system is to break down food and pull out the nutrients for your body. So you've got your big parts, right? Like your stomach and your intestines that everyone probably thinks about, but there's a lot of little key players that need to be also doing their part in order for the digestive system to properly function and pull out as much of the nutrients from the foods that you're hopefully eating as possible. You want your body to be alkaline, and we're going to talk about pH a little bit later, but you want your stomach to have acid in it because that hydrochloric acid is what breaks down our food so that our body is able to pull the nutrients out. So again, I want to reiterate that this class is focusing just on digestion and things that you can do to help with your body's digestive process. You need to continue to do all the things though, right? Make sure that you are exercising, incorporating some kind of movement throughout your day each day. If you sit at a desk all day, make sure you're getting up every hour to just walk around a little bit. If you are making sure that you are sleeping properly, that is going to be helpful for your body in lots of ways, right? You need to make sure that you're making margin in your calendar for quiet time. I am listening to this book called Redeeming Your Time by Jordan Rayner, and it is amazing. I definitely recommend it. You want to make sure that you are allowing your body to process things in quiet. We're surrounded by so much noise now with the technology and just everything. I know I like to put music on a lot, and there's not many times when it's just quiet and your brain can just think and process. So make sure you have that. Also, make sure you're taking your supplements and you're doing the best you can in that area to get all the vitamins and nutrients into your body. You want to make sure that you're listening to your body. Eat when you're hungry. Don't eat when you're full. Use the restroom when needed, right? And reduce stress wherever you can. So back to the digestive system. Unfortunately, in our diet today, we're not really eating a lot of food anymore. We're eating food like substances because of the convenience, right? Lots and lots of years ago, people would make everything at home, probably because it wasn't economical back then or available, and they had no other choice, but they would bake their own bread and make all of their foods from scratch, and they knew exactly what was going in it. And now we have a lot of things that are not that way. So the first thing you need to do when you're looking in your pantry or at the grocery store is to think about the ingredients that you're putting in your body. Less ingredients is always better. The good rule of thumb is 5 ingredients or less, which is super hard to find in many products. And then you need to look at the ingredients. Can you pronounce all of them? Do you know how to say what they are? Do you know what each ingredient is, or does it look like something from your college chemistry days? Words that are like 19 letters long that you can't say out loud are huge red flags. Usually. Don't be fooled by natural labels and colors. There's lots of companies that have kind of wised up to the consumers' preferences, and they are using that as a marketing gimmick. They have not changed their product at all. They've just changed the packaging. And you want to make sure that you're avoiding natural and artificial flavors, because I have read so many stories where they have really stretched that natural flavor, and it's disgusting. I won't get into that in this video, just trust me on that one. You also want to make sure that you are chewing your food. So many of us are rushing. I know I'm guilty of rushing through mealtime. There's so many other things we have to do. If you have kids, you're taking care of them. You may not be chewing your food properly, and that's actually where digestion starts, because you have salivary glands in your mouth that are secreting enzymes in your mouth to help break down the food. And if you're not chewing properly and chewing enough when you're swallowing those food particles, that makes extra work for your stomach to break down. Everything has its own place in the process. So make sure that you are chewing your food and you are enjoying your meal and you are slowing down, because most of us eat way too fast. And by the time our brain gets the signal from the stomach that it's full, you're beyond that full point and you have eaten too much. So if you're taking your time and chewing your food properly, then your body can communicate to you and tell you when to stop eating. Lots of us were raised, I know I was, that you clean your plate no matter what, right? But that is not the healthiest thing to do, especially for your body. You want to also make sure that you're having smaller portions. If you're able to eat sporadically throughout the day instead of 3 enormous meals, that's actually better for your digestive system. You want to eat smaller meals, but you don't want to eat constantly. A dentist once told me that it takes an hour for your mouth, the bacteria and things in your mouth, to get back to normal. So if you're constantly sipping on like a juice or something throughout the day, or snacking like every hour, your mouth and your teeth are never able to get to that homeostasis, that happy place. So you do want to take breaks, but you don't want to take super long breaks and then binge on an entire like huge meal 3 times a day, even though that's what lots of us do. If you're able to spread it out and eat more often, then that is good. I have a friend, Stephanie Jones, who's going to be popping in this group sometime this month to share some tips. She's the expert on batch cooking, which is cooking something once and eating off of it more than that, and possibly talking about some prep ideas. So stay tuned for that. Excuse me. You also want to look at your plate and make sure that you're eating a variety of fruits and vegetables and that they are colorful. This creates a less friendly environment for the harmful guys that might want to hang out in your body, the microorganisms that we want to kick out. So fresh fruits and vegetables is really, really good if you can eat them in season. And Stephanie has resources on that too if you're interested in getting seasonal recipes and things where you're eating things that are in season, which is super important for your body and the best nutrients that you can get, because they're not traveling so far to your destination before you're consuming them. I'm going to talk about a few ingredients that when we started on our healthy journey, the first 3 ingredients that I started really digging into and investigating. The first one is called MSG. And I don't know if I'm going to say this right, but I'm going to attempt. It's monosodium glutamate. That's how I say it. I don't know. MSG is the abbreviation. It overstimulates your nervous system, and it can cause brain damage if you have too much. It can cause nervous system disorders and hormone fluctuations. So totally something you want to avoid. There are lots of conflicting studies. Not everyone is 100% on board that it is harmful. But look at all of those things that it could do, and why would you want to take a chance, right? So I'm going to drop some graphics and things in the comments, because MSG has like 30 names that they use in the ingredients list. Another thing that these food industry companies are wising up that the consumer's looking for things, so they're changing the words on things. You want to make sure that you are knowing exactly what to look for, because they can be kind of sneaky, just like changing the color of the label to green, even though they didn't change the formulation of their product natural at all. It's just a marketing gimmick, and the ingredients list is no different. They're just changing the words. If they know the consumer is looking for MSG, they're going to pick another name that you might not know, like barley malt. Who would think that's bad, right? Or something that's got yeast in it, yeast extract. That might not sound too bad. That's another word for MSG. So I'll drop that in the comments. You want to also make sure that you know your serving sizes. Protein should fit in the palm of your hand. So this is 1 meal, 1 serving size. Really good protein, eggs, fish. There's even protein in Greek yogurt. I didn't know that. Cottage cheese. Just make sure you're careful of the sodium. Steak, chicken, beans, and nuts. So 1 serving fits in the palm of your hand. So when you go to the steakhouses and things and get the huge ribeyes, that's not all going to fit in the palm of your hand. So it's more than a serving size. Fruits and vegetables should cover your entire hand. Carbs should fill a cupped hand. So whole grain pasta, flour, cereal, bread, be careful of sugar. Those should fill your cupped hand. How many times have you eaten like a bag of chips and look at your cupped hand and see if that's how many chips you consumed. I bet it was more. Guilty. Okay, fats should be the size of your thumb, so not very many fats at all. And you want to make sure that you're having the good fats like avocados, cheese, dark chocolate, eggs, nuts, chia seeds, extra virgin olive oil, coconut, full fat yogurt. You want to make sure that you're limiting that. So not a huge like cereal bowl sized portion of that at a time. Obviously, you're not going to have a thumb-sized amount of yogurt. What is that, like one bite? But you don't want a huge bowl of it, is what I'm saying. Then I found another quote. This was from an author on, I guess I'm saying this right, schoenmed.com, SCHOEN med.com. And the author's name, I'm going to attempt to say, Meyowitz Malik. He said, ever since fat was demonized, people started eating more sugar, refined carbs, and processed foods instead. Sound familiar? As a result, the entire world has become fatter and sicker. So if you look back over research and different correlations, the graphs and things of when they started decreasing fat and increasing sugar and the rate of obesity, it's ridiculously... It's very hard to say that that is not related at all. That's a whole nother story though. Okay, we're moving on. Water is another thing that you need to make sure that you are ingesting often, right? Water, one thing I found said don't medicate, hydrate. Your body needs water. You're mostly water. There's water in all of your cells in your body, so you need to make sure that you are drinking enough water. Water also helps your body to flush out toxins. It improves your complexion, and it boosts your immune system. You want to make sure that you're drinking clean, filtered water. So if you have well water, make sure you get it tested so you know what's in there. If you're in the city, I would definitely recommend like a Berkey water filtration system, or if you can afford to get a whole house water filtration system, something like that, so you know that it's pulling out all the nasty chemicals and things that tend to be in water, especially coming from a water treatment plant. You want to also make sure that you are not drinking from plastic. So those plastic water bottles that you see so many people carrying around are really bad for you. You want to make sure you're using glass or some kind of like a stainless steel water jug. There are so many options available. Just check it out online. If you want to know my favorite, you can message me or comment below, and I will gladly share our favorites. You want to make sure that you are drinking at least half your body weight in fluid ounces. Can be difficult, especially if you're not a big water drinker. And you want to make sure you're drinking in between meals, and room temperature water is actually best for you. Unless your body is overheated and you need to cool down quick, you should not be drinking ice water. That was super hard for me because I loved ice water. But room temperature in between meals. So as often as you can, grab your water. Put it in a prominent spot where you're going to see it. Every time you walk by, take a swig, and it'll get ingrained in your brain and be that muscle memory, so you don't even have to worry about it. It's also a good idea for your digestion to give yourself a break on the animal meat every once in a while. There are lots of recipes. If people do the Meatless Monday thing, it's awesome to give your body a break because animal meat is a very complex protein and it's very taxing on your system to break that down. There's lots of beneficial things in animal meat that you can't get anywhere else, but you don't want to overdo it, and it is nice to take a break every once in a while. Studies have shown the more meat that you eat, the greater your risk for ill health and chronic disease. So you want to limit your meat. You also want to limit processed foods. If it comes in a box, chances are it's not good for you. You want to eat unprocessed grains. So quinoa, oats, barley, einkorn, all those things are great for you. Sprouted is actually best because it helps break down. So when a plant makes a seed, it makes an outer covering called a seed coat, and that's to protect the little seed from all of the environment. And sometimes when we eat grains and things that haven't been sprouted, our bodies can't break through that seed coat to get all of that nutrients out. If you're talking about sprouted grains or nuts. There's an outer coating on that sometimes our body's not able to break it all the way down and get all that goodness out. You also want to avoid refined and modified foods. So if you're looking at your grocery store, most of your processed things are going to be in the middle. You want to shop on the perimeter where all the stuff is that goes bad, like the produce and the eggs and the cheese and the milk. The things that are in the cans and the boxes that are good for like 9 months, 2 years, chances are they're not good for you because of all the preservatives that are in there to make them shelf stable for that long. Another tip of why you should avoid sugar: it feeds cancer cells. Every 4 grams of sugar is about a teaspoon. So if you look at like a can of soda, however many 4 grams of sugar breaks down into how many teaspoons, it would be sickening to just ingest that many teaspoons of straight sugar. Within that sugar umbrella is something that's become very common. It's called high fructose corn syrup. It's abbreviated HFCS. It's a sweetener and it's cheaper than sugar, but it's really bad for you. And companies have gotten super slick with that too. I was rushing one time in the store and grabbed something without reading the ingredients because I saw on the front it said no high fructose corn syrup. And then I got home, and as I was putting it away, I looked at the ingredients, and the first ingredient was corn syrup. It wasn't high fructose corn syrup, but it was corn syrup. I was like, ugh. Anyway, you want to avoid foods that are white and pretty, like perfect. You don't want white flour. You don't want white sugar because chances are it was bleached to make it white. There are lots of companies now that sell like ugly produce because grocery stores don't take certain fruits and vegetables if they look a certain way. I've read of places that actually paint their produce to make it that bright color so that the consumer thinks that it's something good that they want to eat. Disgusting. So you want to make sure that you are shopping organic whatever you can and just doing your own research. I will drop graphics of all of the sugar words in the comments also. A good rule of thumb, something easy to remember: if it ends in OSE, that means it's sugar, but there are lots of other words that they use in products. And a lot of times there are multiple different kinds of sugar in the products because sugar makes things taste better when you're not using fat. The next ingredient to avoid, so we did MSG, sugar. The third ingredient is corn, and you would be super surprised at how many products have corn in them. At least I was when I started researching. It's in a lot of stuff, and there's lots of weird names that you wouldn't think would be corn, like obviously cornmeal and cornstarch and corn syrup. You know that's corn. But what about sorbitol or lactic acid or maltose or maltodextrin? There's lots and lots and lots of words. Again, I'll drop it in the comments if you are curious. Another great thing for digestive system is to eat more fiber. A lot of us have problem getting fiber into our diets. There's lots of things that you can add. You can take supplements. You just have to be careful that you're not getting too much fiber because then that can back things up and not be pleasant. So make sure you're getting fiber from your foods and supplements if you need to. You should also be consuming healthy fats. Not talking about going and getting some ice cream. I'm talking about like fish, the omega-3 fatty acids. They're super good for your brain, and your nerve cells are coated in fat. So fat is really important for our body. It's just the right kind of fat that we need. There's something called ALA, DHA, EPA. All of those are things like the omega-3 that you want to have in your diet if at all possible, good for your body. And you can even get fish oil. A lot of those are in fish oil that you can take on a daily basis. You want to avoid products that have trans fat and products with ingredients that say hydrogenated and shortening, because those are not good fats to have. You also want to avoid like your canola oil and your vegetable oil, all of those oils that were introduced when we started going on our anti-fat kick back a few decades ago, whenever that was, that they decided fat was bad. All those oils and sugars that they replaced with are actually worse for us than the fat was in the first place. So I'm a big cheerleader for like birthdays and things that you're celebrating, not every day, but when you're having cake, have some cake. Have a piece of real cake. Don't go and get your sugar-free cake on your birthday. Go all out and have the cake, eat it too, and then move on the next day. And don't do that every single day, right? Moderation. So you want to make sure that you are not eating sugary stuff all the time, but if you're going to do it, just do it. Don't try and make some cake that you find. There are some recipes that are really good, that are actually good for you. I have made some, but on your birthday, eat a real piece of cake. That's all I'm saying. Okay, moving on. Another thing that I kind of stumbled upon was this idea of combining different kinds of food. And it's important to understand how our body breaks food down. So there's certain foods that don't really mesh real well together. And you get the greatest benefit from foods and the most efficient digestion when you have simple meals. So it's nice to have a huge variety, but if you're introducing all of these different things into your digestive system at one time, your body has to break all those down together, and sometimes that's a little bit messy. So if you're thinking about how you're combining food, it can be beneficial to kind of look at the whole picture of your body. It's actually better if you're focusing on a few simple things instead of introducing every single food group at every single eating experience, if that makes sense. Fruits, one thing that's really hard, because I love fruits and my girls love fruits, but they're actually best eaten alone as like a snack, not with a meal. If combined with other things, they remain in your stomach and they actually begin to ferment, which sounds really gross. So I will drop a list of different foods and things that you should combine, things that you shouldn't combine in the comments. So check that out. It's a lot of information, so I'm not going to try and sit here and tell it all to you. Another thing I'm going to drop in the comments is information on pH levels. So we want our bodies to be more alkaline. Your pH is just a measurement of how acidic something is or how alkaline something is. And when your body is acidic, that makes it more hospitable to viruses and the bad bacteria and things. And when it's alkaline, that's a better environment to promote health and life in the body. There are different foods that have different pH levels. So if you're having a lot of acidic foods, sometimes that translates into making your body acidic and making it more hospitable for the yucky stuff to dwell inside of you. I'll drop that in the comments too. So you've got lots of resources to check out later. And then I just wanted to end with a few oils that I have found help with digestion, because if you have watched probably any of my other videos, you know that I love me some essential oils, and they come from plants, so they are natural, and we trust the company that we use because of their super high standards and extreme test measurements that they do with each batch. So if you want more information on that, you can message me or drop a question in the comments. I'm just going to go through and list the essential oils, and they are all good for your digestive system. I normally put them right over my tummy, and if I want it to last longer, I will mix it with a carrier oil like olive oil or something like that to help it last a little bit longer. So the first one is peppermint. If you put this straight on your skin, it's going to tingle a little bit. If you're doing multiple oils, it's best to end with peppermint. So that's called layering. When you add an oil and another oil and another oil, you're making layers. You want peppermint to be on top because it actually pushes all the other oils down into your body. Okay, so peppermint is really good for digestion. You can do peppermint tea, you can do peppermint oil, you can suck on a peppermint. It's very good for helping your body break things down. So is thyme, like the herb, ginger, lemon. I love lemon oil in my water. If you're adding these to water, make sure it's not plastic, because the oil will break the plastic down and leach the nasty chemicals into what you're drinking. So please don't put them in your water in plastic. And also Do not go to your grocery store and buy the synthetic oils and put those in your water because you don't want to drink those. Fennel's another one that's really good for digestion. Oregano. Oregano is a hot oil, so if you're putting it on your belly, make sure you're combining with olive oil or it may irritate your skin. Combine it with some olive oil. If you forget, you can always put the olive oil right on top. Same thing. Nutmeg is also good for digestion. In the fall, I really like to put nutmeg in my hot cocoa. And lemongrass. I didn't know that. I like lemongrass for cleaning, but it's really good for digestion too. So I hope that this class was helpful and that you got some value. Make sure you check out the comments for all the resources that I'm going to dump in there for you, and stay tuned for more videos. Make sure you subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube so you get videos when I post them. And I hope everybody has a great day.